Can you tell us what your opinion is on what's happened recently with Brexit then?
Well, I think we've lost democracy.
You think we've lost democracy?
Because, this is not really about whether you leave or whether you stay. It's about a vote that was taken. And in a democratic country, we have elected to leave. So you have to respect that. Otherwise, democracy is no more.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very dangerous to play games with democracy myself.
Because, when will it stop? Next time there's another referendum of some description, will the same thing happen? It's a bit like you saying Man City are playing Man U, and the result is City won. Oh, well, we'll have another game because we don't agree with that decision. We think the other side should have won.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. Well, you can do it, but if you do it, you can't call yourself a democratic country.
Wouldn't be the UK.
So do you think we no longer live in a democratic society?
I hope we do. I really hope we do.
Unfortunately, the events that have unfolded over the last 2 weeks have really put a dent in the whole democracy.
Absolutely impossible.
I feel that it's George Soros and the EU, Donald Tusk, Michel Barnier, that have destroyed our very democracy that the UK people are proud of.
We fought 2 world wars to have freedom in this country and to make it a strong democratic institution. More to the point, I think the current MPs are forgetting that back in the Middle Ages it was the king and his courtiers who made the rules. The man in the street or the man in the lane had nothing to do with it. Then we had Oliver Cromwell came along. And
we've just been talking about Oliver Cromwell actually. I'm from Bolton myself, which is where we executed the Northern Commander of the Royalist Army in Bolton.
He was responsible for us currently having Parliament.
Yeah.
Now, that's to give the people in the constituencies their vote, their view counts.
Do you know what an interesting point about Oliver Cromwell is? The fact that he was supported during all the time, in Bolton where I'm from, he was supported very heavily during all the time that he was fighting for parliamentary democracy, but once he declared himself the emperor and went on a rampage around Ireland, we turned our backs on him again, which shows that people really do want freedom, and that when people do gain power, they try to gain more power. And so maybe we need a different political system.
Maybe we do.
Now, would you subscribe to a direct democracy?
I don't know.
What I mean by a direct democracy is, let's say, if enough people petition the government to trigger a referendum, would you say that it's right to put it in the constitution that no matter what the political position of the politicians are, they should enact the will of the people? So if enough people have petitioned it and then there's a referendum, and that referendum it says votes in any particular way on any particular issue, it should absolutely be upheld and should be part of a constitution.
That to me is what democracy is.
Yeah.
Those MPs, it's their job, isn't it? They've been elected to do a job.
Well, I think they do you not think they see them? Do you not think they see us as their subjects rather than seeing themselves as working for us?
Yeah, I think that's where our problem lies.
Become a bit more self-interested rather than looking out for our points of views, our interests. At the end of the day, we're the ones that put them there. At the end of the day, we're the ones that can take them away. People here in the town hall and here in Manchester, 60.4% of people voted to leave. And it's people like that, councillors that are secretly betraying the will of the people here in Manchester.
Well, we just looked up the statistics for this. So Manchester Central voted to stay, and so did Stockport and so did Trafford. But all of the other areas in Greater Manchester, that's Wigan, Rochdale, Bury, Bolton, Salford, everywhere, Tameside, the lot, they all voted to leave. Yet the people in Manchester Town Hall down the road have just voted completely against, a long way against what the people here voted. Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm really annoyed with them myself. Yeah, I am. I'm very annoyed with them.
I think
I know
a
a lot
lot
of
of
people who feel that way.
I think a lot of the influence has come from the EU itself, though. I think the EU is a very big threat. Well, pretty much got
Something they don't know.
absolutely. It's got, if they when the UK leaves, it's like 19 other countries. Remember that 19 other countries leaving the EU. If that happens, are all the remaining 7, 8 countries going to foot the bill for us leaving? No chance. Look, at the end of the day, if we stay or leave, hypothetically it probably won't matter because the EU is destroyed and it's going to implode. It just depends when.
With a doubt.
Yeah. Visegrad groups, Bulgaria, Poland, the Czech Republic, you have Salvini in Italy with the 5-star movement, you have the Vox movement in Spain, you have Portugal, you have France. There's like this morning I do a lot of reporting on the Yellow Vest movement, the Gilets jaunes in France, so I'm quite heavily involved with that, and I've noticed a heightened presence of European flags with red crosses through them. Didn't see the very start. You know, it has grown from not just, it's more about making sure that democracy is kept. And the French, major egalitarian nation, they are the ones that are coming forward and actually standing up for everything, for our rights. It is in the French national anthem that they will look what happened with Louis XVI. He went against the people and he had his head chopped off. Okay, I know we're living in different times, but you know.
You're not saying Theresa May needs her head lopping off, are you?
Yeah, lop his head off.
I'm not going to ask you that question, but yeah. So anyway, right, trade deals then. So if I mean, my personal opinion is that I would be happy to leave on a WTO deal, yeah, and then force them to come up with some sort of trade deal against
their
us.
economy if we don't buy their goods, so they're not going to refuse to sell them to us, are they?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
their car industry, their wine industry, they don't.
Well, some of the things that a lot
buy
of,
goods.
I think one of the things that they don't realise the most is that Britain leaving damages Germany's economy the most. Yeah. Now, if Germany's economy goes into a recession after we've left, the EU will topple. So I think that's the reason why they're fighting so vehemently against it, is because they're absolutely scared that if we leave, the whole deck of cards collapses. But to be fair, if it's so fragile, if it's so fragile in the first place, then it's not built on good foundations, is it? Yeah.
I mean, look at Italy. It's becoming a basket case, isn't
Well,
it? Economically.
Italy, Greece, Spain, Portugal, all the southern European countries, their economies are wrecked because of the EU.
Absolutely.
And not just the EU, the euro in particular.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't get into that.
Yeah, but we will, won't we? If we don't leave, we will get into it.
Yeah,
Because
it's
it's been
Lisbon
forced on it.
Treaty.
The
Yeah,
Lisbon
well,
Treaty.
there goes the House of
Yeah.
Parliament, there goes the House of Lords. Every lose hundreds of jobs. You know, every decision about our future will come from Brussels.
Absolutely.
Do you really want that? UK people watching overseas in your own country?
Not voted for either. We don't vote for Jean-Claude Juncker.
No.
We don't vote for Donald Tusk. We don't vote for Michel Barnier or Guy Verhofstadt.
No.
No, actually, it's actually set up that way so that you're never actually, the constitution, the way they've written it for the EU, which in itself they shouldn't have a constitution, but the way that it's been written is so that we will never be able to vote for it. And because they're the people who create the laws in the first place, really all our MEPs have the power to do is to veto laws that they create. They don't have the power to create laws. So, I mean, for me, that's a fundamental problem with it. If I vote for an MEP, I expect him to have the power to be able to change things. But in reality, the only power he has is a veto. and that's nowhere near good enough, because it's not democracy, it's basically authoritarianism.
If you watch the European Parliament, they when they're passing through things, there's no debate, there's nothing. It's literally, right, this is on the table, everybody in favour, everybody against, and that's it. There's no open debate. Who cares what the will of the people is?
And when you've got 27 countries in it, it's whoever shouts the loudest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, see, the thing is, there's another thing that they tell us, and this is a complete and utter lie, that they tell us that we're absolutely knackered as far as the economy goes without the EU. But when Britain joined the EU, there were 14 countries in it, and the GDP of the European Economic Community back then was 30% of the world economy. Now there's 28 countries, and it's only 15% of the world economy. So there's twice as many countries, half the amount of trade happening in comparison to the rest of the world. And that's basically because China, America, Brazil, India, all these other countries, Russia, they're starting to leave us behind. And you know, at the same time, I watch the EU ripping into all these countries and calling them the authoritarian mess that they want to make these countries out to be. But in reality, those countries are leaving the EU behind, and that is a concrete fact.
Yeah, and they're massive areas of trade that we could tap into.
Oh yeah. I think we should be trading with the States, a long time ally. I think we should be trading with China. We've had colonies in China. We've had a good working relationship with Japan for a long time, and I think that those kinds of trade deals would be far better for us than the trade deals that we've got with the EU.
We'll have the decision on it, won't we? Who we trade with. We won't be told who we can trade with. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm gonna finish this.